look at our new webinar on what happens when you've just set up the SMSF. What do you do next? Some people can feel a bit overwhelmed at this stage with all the processes being done. You've got your rollovers, you've got your money. Now what? So let's have a look. It's presented by myself. Catherine Smith is my name. I also go by Cass, which does confuse a lot of people, but I am the one and the same. I've been in this industry for 30 plus years. I have a Bachelor of Commerce, a master's degree in tax, all sorts of advanced diplomas and other qualifications. I've been doing it for way too long. I think it's time for me to start exiting, but I will be here for you all for, hopefully at least the next 10 years. So a disclaimer in this, it isn't financial planning advice. It's not specific accounting or legal advice to you specifically. So you should consider getting advice if you have any doubt whatsoever about the things I talk about. And we're here for that, for more advice for you. So the very first thing you need to do once you have your SMSF set up is to get your online banking up and running. Some people find this very, very easy, no problems at all. We do get the occasional person having a problem. So here's what to do. Macquarie Bank are independent to us, obviously. We can't act for them. We can't do anything about Macquarie Bank. They will have sent you an email. You need to find that email. It may have gone to your junk. Simply read the email and follow the instructions. It's really quite straightforward. If you can't find the email or you can't really understand what to do, call Macquarie Bank, not us. So you call them, just like any bank, they'll just put you through the security check to make sure it's really you, and then they'll help you out. So yeah, as I said, it's just like setting up any online banking. Once the Macquarie online banking is set up, it's really easy to operate, and then you can start using it to buy your investments. The next thing you need to do, and this is the number one frequently asked question, is how to get your employer to put your super contributions into your SMSF. You simply contact it depends on your business. Every business has got a different way of doing it. Your employer, if they're a very, very big employer, might have their own HR department. So you contact them. Other people like my business, we've just got Joe who runs our payroll. So you talk to whoever it is in your payroll area, and they will have different processes, different forms, different ways of doing it, online portals, forms, emails. They'll be able to talk you through it. They will require some very standard bits of information, and that is first your super fund name. Believe it or not, people ask us this: what's my super fund name? It's on your trustee. It's what you told us you wanted to call it. It's on all your paperwork. So just have a look at your paperwork. You'll need the super fund bank account. So you'll need the BSB and account number of your Macquarie Bank. You'll ask for electronic service address. That throws a lot of people. It is what's there in bold, BGF SF 360. Just a whole lot of letters and numbers. We do send all this to you in the final, what we call a wrap-up email, where we'll send all this to you. So you'll just look for that wrap-up email, and that's what it is, BGLSF 360. You'll need the recipient contact name, which is normally just yourself or your super fund. The actual technical address of your super fund, if you're using us as your accountant, is our address. 4 of 6 Pele Street, Mitchell, ACT, but you can also just use your address. It really is just where correspondence is going to go. You'll need a telephone number. Once again, it can be yours or it can be ours if you don't want to give yours. Email address, yours or ours. So it's all very flexible. The main thing they really need is the trust name, the Macquarie Bank account details, and that electronic service address. They'll also ask for a member account number. It literally is just member 1, member 2, member 3. But in our wrap-up email, we allocate you a number. That's all you need. You can also contribute to your fund. So once you've got your employer, if you're employed, putting into your fund, you can also put other contributions. You can do employer contributions, which we just spoke about. You can also do salary sacrifice through your employer, which is where you ask your employer to put more in for you. It's good. It's tax deductible, brings your income down, saves you tax. You can also simply put in personal contributions, which is simply just depositing to that Macquarie bank account. There are limits though. So if you want to claim a tax deduction, the limit is $27,500 per person per annum. Do be careful though, because that $27,500 includes the employer and the salary sacrifice. It's all one limit, that $27,500. There is also a non-tax deductible limit where you can put in up to $330,000 per annum. There are some conditions around that, so don't just go and do it until you've sought some advice. I just covered that really, really briefly, but we have a whole YouTube video that goes into, it's 30 minutes long or more, goes into all of this in detail. I'll share my YouTube channel later. So if you want to know more about contributions, watch that video. That's the link there, but it'll probably be hard for you to get that off the screenshot. I'll show you my YouTube channel. Or you can also ask your accountant for guidance. We'll talk about your accountants soon, but they are the best person, even if you've watched the video and even if you think, oh yeah, okay, I understand this, unless you're really 100% clear, you can certainly check with the accountant and make sure that you're doing the right thing. Now we get to the exciting bit. Most people, once they've rolled over to super, to SMSF, they didn't do it just to leave cash in the bank. They did do it because they want to spend it. Can't spend it. Let's call it investing your money. So before you spend even $1 out of that bank account, let's be absolutely clear about one thing. Do not buy anything personal for you or anyone else. Your superannuation is for the sole purpose of your retirement. You can't spend it before retirement. So that includes paying off your debts or your mortgage or taking money out or even buying financial training, which we've had people do. Anything like that you cannot do. Please do not do unless you meet a condition of a release. There are things like permanent disability, turning age 60, retiring, quite a few things called a condition of release. We have another YouTube video on that topic, or once again, you could ask your accountant, but they're very, very limited. So do not spend money personally. Also, do not move your SMSF money into any account that's not in the full name of your SMSF. I'll talk about that in a minute, but this has been a very common mistake where people have moved money out of the SMSF into a share trading account that's in a personal name, or a term deposit in a personal name, or a crypto account in a personal name. Please do not do that. You can set up other accounts. It's your money. We have set you up a Macquarie bank account for ease of the rollover because Macquarie allows us to set it up and they allow us to do the rollover. Macquarie is a good bank, fee-free. They talk very well with our software, so it makes it cheaper for us to help you. There's all good reasons for Macquarie, but you don't have to stay with them. You can also set up other accounts. You can keep Macquarie and set up other bank accounts. So, for example, if you want a higher interest rate, we can set you up a Macquarie Accelerator account, which is in your SMSF name, is very flexible, and it's also got quite a good interest rate, 4.5% at the moment. You can also set up a term deposit with other banks if you choose. But you'll have to organise. If you want another bank, Macquarie is the only one that enable us to do it for you. If you want another bank, you'll have to do that directly with your own bank, and that's fine. All you need to do is, once again, make sure the bank account is in the full name of the SMSF bank account. We say the SMSF bank account because if you see the way Macquarie set it out, you'll see exactly how it needs to be set out for any other bank. All right, so back to spending the money, the exciting bit. So do not buy investments in your own name. They must be in the name of the SMSF. Do not transfer assets you have bought in your own name to the SMSF. This is another common issue we've had lately where maybe someone's been a little bit too keen to secure an investment, like gold and silver or a property share, before the SMSF money rolled over, you can't transfer that into your SMSF name. It's just a no-no. You're bound very strictly by the ATO rules and regulations. There are some ways of transferring gold and silver in, like selling it back to the dealer and then buying it in the name of the SMSF, but you can't just simply transfer it. So if you want to do something like that, you can talk to me or the accountants to see if there's a way of doing it. There are 2 exceptions to that rule, which are very limited and don't apply to most of you. It's worth mentioning because some of you may have shares like NRMA shares, IAG, Commonwealth shares, whatever shares you might have bought in your own name. You can transfer them into the SMSF. You can also transfer business real property, which generally is commercial property. So if your business is renting a property and you want to buy it in your SMSF or transfer one you already own, you can do that. And we talk more about that on our frequently asked questions document on page 19. So if you've got business real property, perhaps talk to us about how to get it in. Please keep a little money in the bank. Don't spend 100% of your super funds immediately for 2 reasons. You need to pay our SMSF setup fee and you need to pay ongoing administration fees from the account. Also, the ATO do keep an eye on people who, let's say you set it all up, you roll your money over, and then you just roll and drain. So you drain it all out. They get worried that you've done a runner, which you might want to do, but you can't do that. So please leave some money in. It doesn't have to be a Macquarie, but keep a bank account open with some money in it. We just say about $5,000. That will keep you going for a few years, and then you can top it up when you need more. Cash in the bank is fine if you want to just leave money in the bank. That's a legitimate investment. I have my concerns over the banks, as others do, so I don't believe leaving too much in there, but it's entirely up to you. Spending the money. So another important thing to get your head around is, who do the investments belong to? Quite simply, the SMSF investments belong to the SMSF as a whole. And each member, if you've got multiple members, owns a portion of all of the investments in accordance to their percentage. I think that's a lot easier if I look at an example. So where you've got members that have different amounts, which let's be honest, most SMSFs with members will have different amounts. So let's say when the SMSF is first set up, person A has contributed 90,000, person B 70,000, person C 55,000. So we convert that to a percentage and we say, okay, well, person A's got 42%, person B 32%, person C 26%. So then the SMSF buys some farm shares and some heavy metals, leaving 20,000 in the bank. That means person A has 42% of the farm shares and the heavy metals and the cash. Person B has 32% of the farm shares, heavy metals and the cash. Person C has 26%. So we do have people coming to us and saying, well, person A wants to buy a farm and person B wants to put it into gold. It doesn't work that way. You each get a percentage of all of the assets, which we say to people right in the beginning. Make sure if you're coming into a multiple SMSF that you're all investing in the same thing. Our accounting track software keeps track basically in real time. Every dollar in and out gets added to or deducted from members' accounts. So let's say, for example, someone makes contributions, it goes into their account. So let's say person A puts in $1,000. Their account goes up to 91,000, their percentage will go up to 42-point-something%. Every single day it gets tracked. And then insurance premiums come out of whoever's account has got the insurance. So you can be rest assured that even if you're in a multiple SMSF, everything is tracked. Your super isn't going to get blended with other people's super. So because it's important to know that because the SMSF members do not have SMSF separate investments, you need to ensure that you're like-minded and investing in the same thing. Okay, the only thing that is tracked separately are the contributions and insurance premiums. Okay, I think that makes quite sense. Then it comes to storing physical bullion. So we do have SMSFs where it's not husband and wife, it might be brothers and sisters or a few friends, and they say to me, well, person A is going to hold bullion, their bullion at their house, and person B, their bullion at their place, and person C, their bullion at their place. You can sort of do that in a notional sense. Like that person A can take home about 42% worth and store it. But the SMSF still owns the whole lot. So you do want to be in an SMSF with close, honest, and trusted contacts. Some people have come to us and just wanted to set up SMSFs with random people just to save on fees. That's not really a good idea. You've really got to trust the people that you're doing this with and know that they're not going to run off with the bullion that they're storing. So if you're not comfortable with the situation of holding physical bullion, you can set up a private vault, and then the bullion gets stored at a vault where all the members can get access to it only when they're all present. That's one idea if you're in that situation. All right, things to do when making an investment. So contact your preferred investment provider and set up an account in the full name of the SMSF. For example, if you wanted to buy from Ainsley Bullion, you would contact them, set up an SMSF account, either online, you can do it online, or contact them and they'll help you. They will ask you for generally the SMSF Trustee, the ASIC registration of the company, and a trustee summary. These are documents that we send them to you in the beginning, like in the establishment documents. We've already sent you all of that. And in the wrap-up email, you get all that information. Please have a look for it, but by all means, we can send it again to you if you can't find it in your emails. You should also save that information like somewhere safe, somewhere into a hard drive, or print it and put it in a file if you're a printed person type of person, because we will all have it backed up. We have fantastic security with our IT, but it is your responsibility to look after the fund, so you really should have your own copy and know what those documents are, because every time you set up an account or do anything, those are the documents you'll get asked. We don't mind providing them, but we might not like it if you like asking us for the same information over and over and over and over again when we've given it to you so many times already. So the same applies if you're going to open any sort of investment, shares, crypto, property, you'll need these documents. Also the asset company statement, we can always get that for you as long as we are your ASIC registered agent. You do get a choice when you sign up whether you want us to look after your asset company or not. Most people say yes, it's an additional cost, but it does make things a lot easier as you go forward. So if you own a business, think about using your super to buy your business property for your business to rent. It's a fantastic option for some people. You won't lose $1 anymore paying rent off to a landlord. You can use your business dollars to put it into the SMSF. You can even borrow through your super to buy the property, and we can even help arrange the SMSF loan. So businesses owning their own property was actually the original most common purpose of an SMSF. So originally 20 years ago, the SMSFs were mainly very wealthy doctors and lawyers that wanted to own their own business. Since then, it's exploded into everyday average Australians like the rest of us who want to use it for other things. Now for what I call the very exciting stuff, the ongoing management and the annual tax returns. You might not think it's exciting, but we try and make it as exciting as we can for you. It's very simple. The first thing you do is we will send you an engagement proposal. That is an email that you need to have a look at. And it is a DocuSign type email where you can press a few buttons and accept it. Okay, it's important that you do that, because if you don't, then technically we're not looking after you anymore. You're out there on your own, which you can choose to do, and then you can go find another accountant. But if you want us to do it, accept that proposal. And then, as I mentioned before, you can either have a hard copy file. Some people like the old-fashioned have a file stored in a filing cabinet. Other people see the benefit of having it all on a computer in a shared drive, in an iCloud drive, wherever you want to save it. So that, but whatever you do, you've got a filing system for your SMSF. So when you buy and sell an investment, you save the receipts into that folder. 30th of June each year, you take a photo of your bullion, which we'll talk about in a moment, fully unpacked, laid out on something dated on or after 30th of June, and as soon as possible after 30th of June. Don't do it like me, some 18 months later. Save it into that folder so that you've got it ready. Then, when the SMSF accountant contacts you, you can send us all that paperwork, either in a photocopy of the hard copies in express registered post, or if you have it electronically, you can send it all in an email or a shared Google link drive, whatever way you do it. My staff are pretty IT savvy, so if you send it in any sort of link, they can generally get it. And once again, our IT is top notch. We pay an enormous amount of money for IT. You would be shattered if I told you how much, to make sure everything that comes in and out of our email is very secure. Everything we save is very secure. I say send it all at once because we don't want you just to send us every single receipt every time you get it. That's just really time consuming for my staff. Save it all up, send it to us at once. And that's pretty easy peasy. That's your responsibilities. We then do everything else for you. See if I can just find my, yes, I can. At the end of each year, what we end up doing is, these are financial statements. This is my fund, 2021, a bit out of date. I'm a little bit behind. But it's financial statements. You can't see this, but it's profit and loss statements, balance sheets, member statements, the gains on everything, a member statement which shows each person's balance. So I've got myself and my kids, all of the assets. It's a very detailed, complex report. The first time you see it, you'll probably go, oh my God. But you'll get used to it, and it's not that difficult. We also do minutes. So some people ask us, do we need to do a minute of everything that we do? Yes, you do, but we do it for you. And by all means, some people like taking their own minutes, which is, a minute is simply, it's like a meeting minute. You sit down and you say, okay, well, who's present? John and Jane are present on such and such a date at this address, and we've decided to go and do this. Sign it, put it in your filing cabinet. The tax office will love you if you do your own minutes, but not to worry. If you don't, we'll do them for you. So this is a photograph of an example of a photograph. You probably can't see, but this is laid out on a newspaper, and the date is in the background that the auditor can zoom in and look at. So that's, the auditor needs to be able to see and count each individual item. So you can take it on a big sheet like that, or if you've got a lot, you could even do like the 3 bars at the bottom on a separate one, and then the gold on a separate one, just as long as they can see it. So a few options: take it on a newspaper or a magazine. Or I've done, the way I did mine is I printed out, Google what is today's date, and then Google says today's date is, you can print that out and have that behind. You can also do a video, and I did that with mine. I just used my iPhone. I Googled, Lisa's saying she can't see the pics. There's a pic there just of the gold and silver. It's not that important. What I did with mine is I Googled what is today's date, and then I used my iPhone and videoed what is today's date, and then I looked down at the gold and said, and here we have 3 10-ounce bars. End of video. Make them short and sweet so that you can save them easily. And then I said, all right, what is today's date? Today's date is, okay, here is my 20 silver kilo bars, etc. So it's flexible, just as long as at the end of the day, the auditor can see it. If you've got way too much, so someone asked us because they had a huge stack of coins, just way too much to try and capture on a photo. They asked us, and the auditor agreed, that you can have an online meeting, like a Teams meeting, like today's meeting, and count it in front of the auditor so she can see. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and that's fine as well. All right, some people are coming and asking us, well, no one's contacted us yet. What do I do? Nothing. As long as you've signed that engagement letter, it means that you're on our database. We are going to look after you. It just means we haven't got to you yet. We'll set out the lodgement dates in a moment, but we basically have all year to get this done. So we just work our way down the list. Just check that you've got everything saved, ready to go for when we do contact you. If you want, some people really just want to get it off your plate and onto ours. That's fine. You can send all the paperwork in one email to accountants@freedomffs.com.au. We'll forward it to your accountant for when they're ready for it. If you want to get done sooner than later, sending that to us will prompt you. It will push you up the list, because we may as well work on it when we've got the information in. But there's no real hurry, and I'll explain that in a moment. Or you can just sit tight and wait till we contact you. So what paperwork will you need? If you've got gold and silver, as I said, you'll need the photo of the assets held at 30th of June or shortly thereafter, clearly showing the date. You'll need invoices and receipts for that when you buy and sell. And if you have bought a safe, you can give us that invoice as well, because the super fund can pay you for that. If you've got property, you'll need the settlement statements, contracts, insurance policies, rates notices, water notices, loan agreement if you've got one, basically every expense to do with that property. Need a rental statement from your property manager if you've got one. If not, just proof of a rental, like a lease agreement. And you will need a property valuation at 30th of June every year, but not to worry. In most cases, we can do that for you. If you've got cryptocurrency, you need a portfolio valuation at 30th of June. We need a transaction history statement for the whole July to June period. If you've got shares and managed funds, you need all the buyers and sell contracts, a tax statement, and the shares and managed fund portals have all this information. It's very common information that we're asking for. You'll be able to find it on the portal or ask them for it. Distribution and dividend statements for shares and managed funds. So when is the tax return due? It depends when your SMSF was set up, and also the ATO. They can make up their own rules, as they sometimes do. But generally, if you set up before 30th of June, you prepare your own return, which I don't know anyone that does that, because SMSF tax returns are incredibly complex. Actually, the only person I knew that did it was my dad, because he was an accountant and he thought he could. And every single year, the tax office took about 6 months to process it, and they corrected it, because every single year he got it wrong. It's just not worth doing. But if you do it yourself, it's 1st of October. If you set it up for 30th of June and we do it for you, it's not due until 28th of February next year. Once you, if you set up before 30th of June 20 and you pay your own return, that's, I say, I set up after 30th of June, then it'll be 30th of October next year. If we do it, it'll be 28th February next year. Don't have to worry too much about this. We're all over it. We know when you're due, and we're going to get in contact with you. Every now and then, the tax office requests an early deadline. Normally, it's if there's something you've done that's not compliant, they will set you a different deadline, and we know about it, we will stick to it. It becomes a lot simpler going forward because this applies mainly to your first tax return for the SMSF. Once we roll over to future tax returns, it's just May or June the year after. So 30th June 23, it'll be the year after 24. 30th June 24, it'll be the year after in 25. So that's what I mean by don't worry if we haven't contacted you. We literally have a whole year to get it done. There's no need to send us your receipts until we ask, and don't send them one by one. Get your paperwork in a folder and then give them to us. It's quite simple. There's another big issue which we have got another video on. We love our YouTube videos, and that is the investment strategy. People are freaking out about this, saying, oh, but hang on, it's complicated. Just ask yourself a simple question. When you set up the SMSF, what did you want to invest in? And then ask yourself, do you still want to invest in that? If not, what else do you want to invest in and why? In other words, the investment strategy is already in your head. You know what you want to invest in because that's why you set up an SMSF in the first place. Even if it's just gold or silver or property or leaving it in the bank, you had some idea of what you wanted to do, and that's all the investment strategy is. What do you want to invest in? And no matter how clever the auditor or the tax office is, they cannot read your minds. So for that reason, the auditor, or more importantly, it's the ATO, needs your strategy written on a bit of paper. So it's really quite straightforward. We have a separate video on this. I'll share my YouTube channel later and you'll see that you can look at it on there, on the investment strategy. But let's just cover it really quickly in case you don't want to go to that separate video. People are asking us, but hang on, you said you'll do everything for us. It's a real anomaly. The ATO, in their ultimate wisdom, have simply said categorically that we as accountants cannot do it for you because it could be constituted as financial planning advice, and we're not financial planners. So it's the one thing. The ATO actually say we can do everything for you that's in the necessary to run a fund, except this. What we can do, and what we do, is we send you a sample investment strategy template that you can pick which one suits you and then adapt it. Some people have also, before they even knew we were going to send them a template, they've just Googled SMSF investment strategy and downloaded a template off Google. There's lots of different ways of doing it. In fact, the more of you that do it a different way, the better, because if the auditor sees the same one that we've prepared for you over and over and over and over again, they're not going to like it. The more you can just tailor it a little bit to yourself, rip out some paragraphs, put in some sentences, put a few things in your own words, the better. The key thing, it's your investment strategy, not ours. Even if everyone we spoke to was doing gold, for example, if we wrote one for gold and gave it to every single person, the auditor and the tax department are not going to like us. So you're not expected to write it from scratch. You can, and you're not expected to pick an exact number. You don't have to say, I'm going to invest in 10 100-gram gold bullion bucks, because you might change your mind when you go to the gold dealer. In the template, you don't have to say precisely and then never change it. You can just use a range like this. Someone mentioned they can't see the pictures. I hope that one appears. But if in case it doesn't, it just says silver bullion 0 to 30%, cash and term deposits 0 to 5%, gold bullion 0 to 65%, property 90%, just whatever it is you're planning to do, put it in here. And you can change this anytime you want. If you go, oh, no, okay, I've changed my mind, just do a new investment strategy. People are worried about what if they get it wrong. That's fine. There's no such thing as wrong. Because you may not know what you want to do, and you may change your mind. It's no big deal. We can't do it from scratch for you, but we can answer your questions and guide you once you've given it a go. So in that template we send you, or you Google one, give it a go. Then you can send it to your accountant and say, hey, how does this look? And we're allowed to guide you. We're even allowed to fix it for you. We just can't do it for you. Even then, even if your accountant has looked at it and changed it a little bit, if it's still missing something, the auditor is going to come back to you and say, look, can you change it a little bit? So it's nothing to worry about. Just give it a go, get it done. And on the subject of the auditor, everybody thinks audit and thinks, oh, scary, scary. The auditors, they are human, they're friendly, they work with you and us to get it right. I call them the in between you and the ATO. So their job, it's a bit naughty of the ATO to save the ATO having a whole lot of extra staff. They've outsourced it to the auditors. So the auditor makes sure that you've got it right, we've got it right. So that if the ATO does audit you, which is very, very rare, but if they do, you should be fine and dandy because the auditor's already checked everything for you. They also ensure that we've got it wrong, got it right. Or if you're not using us as your accountant, they make sure your accountant's got it right, which is good because you want to be able to trust your accountant, and it's good to know that there's an auditor that's going to check what the accountant's done. Because the auditor basically works for you, not us, not the ATO, they work for you. You can even pick your own auditor if you want. Generally wouldn't suggest it because we have about 4 different auditors we use. Sometimes we run things past the auditor, like if you're doing a particular type of investment, we will run it past the auditor and say, hey, is this okay? What documents do you need? And then anyone in that investment will send to that auditor. If you pick your own auditor, you don't really know what they're going to ask you, whereas we know our auditors very, very well. So in summary, once you've got an SMSF, simple steps to summarize all of this: make sure you can access your bank account easily. Make sure you buy your investments correctly. Make sure you document how the money was spent and received. Make sure you engage us, hopefully, as your ongoing accountants to help you through the audit and the tax lodgements. And most importantly, if you have questions, contact your designated specialist SMSF accountant within FFS. So Mary Jane, who a lot of you may have dealt with, and her setup team are lovely, wonderful people, and they've been very, very helpful to you setting up your SMSF. But they are not accountants. They can't answer technical questions or ongoing accounting questions. Please don't hassle me, as I'll probably be travelling around in a bus. For those of you that haven't heard about our bus, keep an eye out for the newsletters. But who is your designated accountant? That's a very good question. You may not know who it is. Soon after your final rollover, we will allocate an accountant to you in our system. They'll contact you in due course to introduce themselves. But if you have a question before that, just email accountants@freedomffs.com.au. We will forward that email to your accountant and they will reply, and then you'll know who to bug from then on in. Seriously, it's not bugging us. It's our job to answer you. I have been in the SMSF accounting industry for 20 plus years, and I've always found that it's better for clients to ask us a question. We help you get it right, rather than running off and doing things and then we're going, oh my God, why did you do that? That's a lot more of a headache for us. So if you have questions, just ask your accountant. It may, as I just said, it makes our job a lot easier if you ask questions when you're in doubt. It's better for us to guide you than fix your mistakes. And mistakes can be very costly. The penalties for non-compliance in an SMSF can be up to 50% of your fund. So let's say you've got 200,000, the penalty can be $100,000, half of your fund. I have only once or twice seen the ATO apply that penalty. That would have to be serious. non-compliance. But hey, let's just get it right in the first place so that you don't have to worry. This is the accounting team. As I said, you've dealt with the setup team up until now. This is the accounting team with myself, the manager, Peter, Nanette, who's been with me for 12 plus years, Joe, who's been with me for quite a few years and is now switched over to SMSF, Iris, who's been with me about 10 years, Mika, who's new to us, and she just helps with the administration, and two new SMSF accountants, Jolene and Georgina. They're new to us, but they've both been in SMSF industry for basically their whole career. We have an extremely experienced team behind you, and we're always here for you. So finally, we do have a frequently asked questions document that we update very, very regularly. So if you like reading, by all means, click into that and just scroll through the questions. You might find you've got questions you didn't even know you had when you look through that document. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's simply, if you just Google Cass Smith on YouTube, you'll find me. There's only one of me. That's my picture. Subscribe to that. And we do send out regular newsletters. If you're not getting them, perhaps check your junk and find one and make them, because we do send out really good information on a regular basis. We don't spam you, but maybe every fortnight we will send out links to these webinars that I run, links to question and answer sessions, and anything else that's going on at that point in time. If you like our Facebook page, Freedom Financial Solutions FFS. Okay, now I'll open up to questions. I will just turn off the recording so that people can put their cameras on. But thank you for all that. I'm now turning off the recording.